Deep within a bleak and dismal swamp, hidden beneath its murky waters, lies the headquarters of the most sinister villains of all time. A Legion of Doom.
All right, what's up, everybody? We are headed to the premiere night
of Justice League, baby.
Justice League of America, minus the Green Lantern, which I'm still a little butthurt about. But we're probably gonna stand-alone movie, so that'll be good. You pumped, bro? You pumped?
Yeah,
huh?
I'm ready.
Maybe I should. You're driving. Maybe I should do this.
Oh God, I've seen some mixed reviews. Like, so I've seen reviews that are good, and I've seen reviews that are bad. Like, and like, while I guess like I shouldn't take a review to heart before I go into the movie. Like, I guess it does like show me something. Because I mean, like, I guess if it was all bad, then it'd probably be all bad. But
right.
You know,
if it was all good, it'd be all good. And we wouldn't want that either.
Exactly. Well, Thor Ragnarok has all good. Like, that movie got like a 98 on Rotten Tomatoes or something absurd. So, but going into it, like, I think it'll be good. You know, me and Nick have talked about this a little bit, but you know, we're gonna go into it without the expectation that it's gonna be super canon or like super follow the books. You know, we're just going into it just like, hey, like, you know, our hobby is being recognized and like on a large scale. So like, let's go see what it's like, or you know, what the cinematic universe is like.
It doesn't matter, I guess, if the movies. Well, obviously, we want all the movies to be good, but I mean, when you think about it, because even if the old Green Lantern movie was a bad movie, which I feel like that's a unanimous decision. I don't feel like there's anyone who thinks that Green Lantern movie was good.
Are you talking about the one with Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was terrible. So, but my thinking on that, you know, even if it's a bad movie, look, we're getting a redo, so that's good, and hopefully that'll be a good Green Lantern movie, and we won't have to worry about
and
Green Lantern dying forever.
If this is a bad movie, I mean, we get Jake Gyllenhaal as Batman. So,
what?
Have you seen that?
No.
It's being talked about now. It might just be a rumor. It probably is just a rumor, but it's being talked about that if Affleck was replaced, Gyllenhaal would replace him.
Can we have a movie where Batman's off fighting people, and then he comes back and his wife is with his brother?
Oh God!
Just like mixed movies, wouldn't it be great?
Just mixed movies because of actors.
Yeah, right.
So,
and then he jumps on buildings because he's also the Prince of Gotham. I mean Persia.
No, dude, I seen this meme on Twitter right before we left, and it was like, we should name our son or daughter Gotham. That way, like at night when you wake up, you look at the other one and go, Gotham needs you. So, but I'm pretty excited. Oh, and by the way, I guess we need to talk about what this is. So this is the Legion of Doom podcast. What this is going to be about is we're going to be doing stuff like this. So we're going to be doing vlogs where we go into Comic-Con, release night of movies, things that are DC, Marvel, you know, related. And we're also going to be doing a release every Monday. The release every Monday will probably start in January. So every Monday we're gonna sit down and talk about what's going on in the DC universe, the Marvel universe, the industry as a whole, and like just have a talk. Just have a talk show where people can ask questions, or people can ask for content, or ask us to review or read this certain title, and what our thoughts are on the universe and like where it's going. So that's kind of what it is. It's basically just a big talk show that talks about everything DC and Marvel, whether it's the cinematic universe, whether it's the comic books, the industry as a whole. That's what this is about. And as it progresses, that's what we want it to stay like, and we also want it to be a talk show for everybody.
Yes.
Where people can ask certain things, and me and Nick are not like super we know absolutely everything about everything, so it's going to be like a process of us obtaining more information, becoming more knowledgeable on the subject, and applying it. So
yeah, that's another big reason why we're doing it, is because we've always loved the comic books, DC, Marvel, even some that aren't DC, Marvel. There was the Crossed or whatever you were reading.
Oh, the Crossed, yeah, like stuff from like Dark Horse, Dark Horse, Image, Boom.
Right, yeah, so don't
stuff like that.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask us about those kind of stuff too, because comic books in general is what we're looking at. I mean, obviously more heavy on Marvel, DC, but
right.
But we want to learn more, so this is another reason why we're doing it. But, you know, because we've been in that position where we want to know more, that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring you that information and just bring you our opinions, because we all know you care about our opinions.
No, they don't. They don't care about our opinions.
But our, not an opinion, this is fact. We are at the movie.
Movies.
We're going to go. We already got our ticket because we don't like to wait in lines. So, although there might be a line to get in. So, we are going to.
So, real quick, before we go, with your knowledge of the trailers and the things right now, what do you think Justice League will be on a scale of 1? So what we're going to do is scale 1 to 10 what our thoughts are on the movie before we go in, and then we're going to come back and say what our thoughts are on the movie were in detail, talk about it, and say what our rating is. So what's your rating right now? 1 to 10, based off what you've seen, what do you think Justice League will give you?
Pre-rating, not being salty about no GL, 6.5.
6.5. Okay. I can agree with that. I'm about a 6. I think that Justice League will give me a 6 for satisfaction.
Not gonna lie though, I'm hoping to come out of here with a higher. I'm hoping to come out with an 8. I have like my solid expectations on a 6.5, but that doesn't mean it has to be a 6.5. Could be an 8, 8.5.
Right.
I don't know if it's gonna be a 9. I don't think it's gonna be a 9.
Yeah.
Maybe
All right, guys.
Maybe there's more GLing in there.
Right, you got it. So, all right, guys, we're gonna go in there. We're gonna go ahead and get our seats before everybody starts getting really freaking crazy in here. We will come back after the movie is over, and we'll talk about our opinions, talk about what we thought was good about the movie, and what our overall rating is after. By the way, the talk after is not going to be spoilers.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. We're not going to talk about stuff that happened in the movie. We're just going to talk about the movie in general and what we thought about it and what we think did well. In a very general sense. So no spoilers, so you can hang out for the end part 2, and we'll see you then.
Yeah. So, we just got done watching Justice League. I'm trying to make this okay.
The Justice League.
The Justice League. Minus, obviously Green Lantern. Because we talked about that earlier.
Still salty about the Green Lantern.
Still salty.
So, we went into it. I went into it saying I was expecting a 6 movie. I'm still with a 6. I got a 6 movie. So I guess I'm not disappointed. It met my expectations. I just wish it was better. Like, it could have been better, but I guess it wasn't awful.
Yeah, totally agree. I was like I said at the beginning, I gave it a 6.5. Was hoping to come out making myself feel better, maybe like an 8 or something. I don't know, but no, still gonna stay at 6.5, and gonna try to stay alive as we're driving. So like,
yeah. So, like I said, we don't want this to be a spoiler type deal. I think one thing that we can do is later on, maybe we can actually shoot a video or something talking about it in depth with spoilers, and talk about the movie in depth, but put it, title it, spoilers. Don't watch this if you haven't seen the movie. But we're not going to talk about spoilers here. We're not going to spoil anything for you. We're just basically just going to talk about the presentation of the movie, the content it presented, if it was good, if it was a good presentation, if character depiction was good, and just overall how the movie was as it was supposed to be, without going in depth. So, I mean, you can start it off, Nick, with just what you thought about how it presented, how the movie was presented, and how it did as far as presentation goes.
Yeah, I think the presentation was okay. I feel like it has the same issue as any DC movie really has, honestly, and just I feel like sometimes the plot of the story gets a little rushed. So, if you don't like that, be aware that is a thing, and that's not even a spoiler. It's just kind of almost, really honestly, any DC movie, and even Marvel movies. I'm not going to just hate on DC, but a lot of times it's rushed, and I feel like if they want to do better, kind of draw out the story a little bit. But I mean, that movie itself was 2 hours, with like 15 minutes or something like that, and so to drag it on even more, I mean, we're looking at to do what I think they need to do, probably 3 to 3.5 hours to really get where I would like them to be with that. So
yeah, and I agree. It's kind of like point A, point B, point C. It's just on. There's no build up. There's no. It feels like imagine you're reading a book or even reading a comic, and you just every time you go to turn a page, you actually turn 2. And like that's what it feels like. It feels like it's progressing at that pace to where it's just like you understand what's going on, and you're keeping up with it, but it's just like, man, there's just so many like areas where you could have just transitioned this better. Like, you know, like I said, it's like turning 2 pages instead of 1. And that's how it feels. It just feels like it's just like skipping steps. And like Nick said, I mean, even if that has to make the movie longer, you know, the movie was 2 hours. It was I looked it up earlier and just to get like an exact minutes on it. It was 2 hours. So I mean, it could have been like 2.5, 2 hours and 45 minutes. You know, just to break things down a little bit better. You know, not for lack of understanding, but just for lack of presentation and how it looks and how it feels watching a movie, and you're just like rushed along. That's just how I felt. Like I felt like it was just rushed.
Yeah, I think that's a really good analogy with the 2 pages thing, because it's not that it makes the story not to be understood, but it's kind of like, I understand that we got to this point, but like, how the frick did we get to this point? You know, it's kind of like that. So that was, I mean, obviously some things we critiqued, and I think we should also talk about good things that we liked, because the worst thing that could happen is everybody just say the bad stuff about these, you know, any movie, and then we stop having superhero movies, which would not be good.
Right.
So I think some good things were action. I think it didn't fall short on action, and I think that's a good thing, especially with, I mean, comic book movies. You think these superheroes, you know, have action. They're doing fight scenes and they're doing all this heroic things. So I think it didn't fall short on that. Like I said, if they were to extend the movie, explain, you know, do a little bit better, you know, more in depth kind of stuff would be cool. And, you know, obviously with that, more action scenes. But I think really a lot of the action scenes is kind of what made me stick with a 6, because it could have been a little bit lower if not for that.
Right. And there were some like pretty cool little Easter eggs and like little hints to stuff like that they kind of put in there. And there was actually a part where if you watch it, you might catch it, you might not, but they kind of make fun of themselves at like one little point. I think they're making fun of themselves anyway. I don't know, but you might recognize it immediately when it happens. But it was, the action was good. The fight scenes were good. There was enough action going on, and you know, all of it pretty much made sense, because you know, there's been times in Marvel and DC movies where the action didn't really make sense. Like, it's like you have these people that are struggling against this opponent, and all of a sudden everything's fine and they can fight him. Like, so you know, as far as that goes, it was good. And like I said, I mean, I just think that the movies could be slowed down a little bit. You know, you're not gonna inconvenience your viewers by adding 45 minutes onto a movie to make the progression better.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think any comic book fan, or I mean, especially with comic book movies, I think any comic book fans or any just moviegoers who love really good movies, I mean, you're already paying, I mean, nowadays like $10 for a movie. So what does another 30 minutes hurt if it's gonna make your experience better? Because I feel like people will pay for quality, you know, over quantity. And in this case, I guess if you had to expand it to make it better, you'd get both. Right. But the quality's the big piece on it, I think.
Yeah. And you know, but as we've seen in the past, and as we see like right now with this movie, the way it was presented was that it was kind of sped up and it was kind of skipped and around a little bit. You know, one thing I don't want them to do is extend the movie and it's just as skipped. It just has a bit, like, okay, I would rather this. I'd rather a 2.5 hour movie that had a content base, or that had a story that it was achieving, and it achieved it better and it explained it better, rather than having a 2.5 hour movie that has a bit more story in it but is just as rushed.
Yeah.
So I don't want them to extend the movie to put more content in it. I want them to extend the movie to detail the content better.
Right.
More so than putting more, which goes back to what you said: quality over quality over quantity. I want more quality content and not more content to look at.
Yeah, and I think, and not just this movie, but other movies, and I don't know exactly how they would do this, but I mean, if you look at it, I'm not know if you've ever watched any like the Hunger Games movies, but like the last one, and even Twilight did it. The last one they did a part 1, part 2.
Right.
So even if to get the story out in a way that really portrays every single part of this movie and every single part of the comic book story, the comic arc, if you did a 2-parter, would even be something. Now, I said I don't know how it would translate to this movie, but as far as like maybe structuring the movies, going further in such a way that if they did that, it would work.
Yeah.
I would be okay with that. I would be okay with the suspense of, whoa, this 2-hour movie was super packed with all this information and all these cool things. Now, we're not at resolution. Resolution is part 2, and so looking forward to part 2. I mean, that would, I think, if done right, could also boost the sales for the movies.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, they wouldn't have to do it. So, like, say, like a Thor or like a Justice League, they wouldn't have to do that for that type of movie. But what they could do is they could take a big story arc, like a story arc that happens, and expand it over 2 movies rather than fitting it all in one. So, like, let's just jump to Marvel for a second. Civil War, they could have expanded that over multiple movies instead of just having one, like to cover that big arc.
Yeah, I love the picture of the MCU's version of Civil War. It's like 5 people on one side, 5 people on the other, versus like the comic book picture version. There's like tons of people on one side, tons of people on the other.
Yeah, but
and see, that goes. I mean, that also goes a little bit beyond copyrights too, as far as like put all the characters in. I mean, obviously they couldn't have done every single character at this point in the MCU, but going back to what you were saying, that if they did Civil War Part 1, Civil War Part 2, there could have been so much more in depth into that arc,
right,
to carry out.
Yeah, I agree completely. And like I said, like we've said, the Justice League movie was not a bad movie. Like, I think that if you follow the comic books, or if you're even remotely interested in the DC universe, you should go watch the movie. I mean, it has good content in it, and honestly, it kind of taught me a couple things. Like I said, and like we said at the beginning of this video, is me and Nick don't know everything about the DC and the Marvel universes, so this movie actually kind of taught me something new that I didn't know. So, I mean, I guess like that was a takeaway for me, is like I learned something. I learned something about the universe from this movie.
Right.
And I mean, like, if anything, that's what I got out of it. I mean, I learned something about it. I learned actually a couple things. But like I said, we won't spoil any of that. But I learned a couple things, and it was overall, it was a decent movie. It wasn't awful. Like I said, if you follow DC at all, I would encourage you to go watch it, because you may learn something. And just finding the Easter eggs was fun.
Yeah.
Seeing like, oh, like that happened, that must mean this, or maybe that means this, and some stuff that was shown that were like, it wasn't an Easter egg, it was just a straight up reveal.
Right.
There's some good stuff. So, I mean, I think it's worth it. I definitely think that you should go see it. It definitely, I would say this, I would venture to say it was better than Batman vs. Superman, though.
I would agree with
I would
that.
say it's better than that.
I would agree with that. I think if it didn't have the characters it has in the movie, I mean, it'd be different if it was just, I think this one's definitely better than Batman.
Yeah, I think it's
I recommend it. I would watch it. Honestly, if a friend wanted to go watch it, I would go watch it again. I wouldn't say it's a movie where, like I said, I wouldn't say it's a movie that I would never watch again. But as far as comic book, cinematic universe, movies, I'm not sure if I would put a top 5.
I don't.
It was, like I said, it was okay. We definitely recommend watching it. Just like he said, if Dylan said, if it's just you're a fan of the movies, if you're a fan of the comic book universe, go into it obviously knowing that movies, TV shows that they do based on comic books are not, 100% canon, in that, and they try to stick to it. I don't feel like they just go off the wall with it, but just know that especially on the TV shows, they do say based on the comic book series, so it's not like 100% canon. So
yeah, and like we said at the beginning of this, guys, I mean, this is a talk session. This is something that we want to talk to you guys about. So put in the comments, or email us your questions or some things that you'd like to see here on the podcast or on the YouTube channel, whichever instrument you're following. Our email is the Legion of Doom podcast @gmail.com. That's where you can send us questions, suggestions, things that you want to see. And we're also on Twitter, and it's Legion Doomcast at Legion Doomcast is our Twitter. So like I said, if you guys have any questions, suggestions, things you'd like to see on the cast, things you'd like us to go over, things you'd like our opinion on, that's what we're here for. We're here to have a discussion and to be welcoming and bring other people into this. And whenever I first started reading comics, if it wasn't for a local comic book store that I went to, I don't think I ever would have stuck with it, because it was so much to take in, it was so much to understand and to grasp. So that's what we're here for. We're here for the veterans, people that have been around a while and just want to have discussion and talk about the thing they're passionate about. But it's also to help people that don't quite understand things, that don't quite understand why all of a sudden Marvel's on legacy issues and they started Thor at 700. Like, why in the world is that a thing? That's what we're here for. We're here for everybody. It's an audience for everyone. That's our channels you can find us on. The YouTube channels, the Legion of Doom podcast, and the Twitch is Legion of Doom podcast. So that's all of our media outlets, and of course we'll be on iTunes.
Hit us up on Patreon.
Yeah, we're gonna have a Patreon page started, just for people that want to support the channel and want to see it grow, and bigger things happen. Because ultimately what we'd love to make this into is a talk show, not only just with us two random guys, but maybe it'll lead into some things with some different interviews with people in the industry, and just see where it takes us. We would never ask you to donate. We never ask you to become a Patreon, for money's sake. Just if you enjoy the content and you want to see it go further, just tune in, just hang out, tune in. And if you ever feel like you want to see the channel go further and you want to support that, then that's awesome. But you'd never have to do that. We've never asked you to do that. But we have a Patreon page set up. And we also have our Twitch and the YouTube channel. So subscribing and following is another way to support the channel. You don't have to. There's so many ways to support a channel other than monetarily. Just being a viewer and participating is the biggest way you can support content creation and what we're trying to do. So we appreciate you guys hanging out and watching the video. We hope you enjoy it. Like I said, from now till about the beginning of January, some content's going to be a little sporadic, but starting the first Monday in January, we will be releasing an episode every single week, every single Monday, talking about comic book reviews, talking about just different things, the cinematic universe, the comic universe, the animated universe. Just you name it, we're going to be talking about the industry. We're just going to talk about everything, and have it on a bunch of different media channels so that everyone can access it. Whether you're driving to work, you're sitting at home, on the computer, just messing around, just wanting to hang out and just have some talk and chat about your hobby. That's what it's for. It's going to be an outlet for everyone, in any way. So that's why we're on so many different media channels, just trying to reach everybody, as many people as we can.
And just two things that when we do our shows on Mondays, starting in January, they will be live. So come and hang out with us, and I'm sure we'll do question and answers. If you have any questions about maybe the comic books that we're reviewing that week, or if there's something that maybe you say, hey, do you know something about such and such in this story arc or something like that, and we'll be glad to sit there and chat with you guys about that. And also another way to help support us would be, if you like what we're doing and you like this content, like he was saying, another big way to support is just sharing with your friends. Just sharing it on your Facebook, or sharing the Twitter posts or whatever it is. Maybe showing your friends like, hey, these guys talked about this, and I really like their opinion, and I really think what they're talking about was meaningful to what this story arc's going over. But that's another big way to share, is just to help support, is just to share with your friends.
Yeah, I agree. So, guys, I guess we'll end it there. Like I said, this is just a vlog we did for the Justice League premiere. We'll be doing this for a lot of different Marvel, DC Universe cinematic things that are happening. We'll also plan to go to some Comic Con, so we'll be vlogging that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna be super fun. It's gonna be super chill. And like I said, we'll go over all the other stuff as well every Monday, and do it live, and then have the VOD uploaded to Twitch and put it on podcasts and all that good stuff. So appreciate you guys hanging out, and hope you have a great night and great week, and we'll see you next time.
Aight.